right, everybody, welcome to Pursuit Picks Media. Today I'm reacting to the official teaser for Masters of the Air. It is finally here. We've been waiting over a decade for its release. We got, what, 2 months? January 26th. The first 2 episodes are going to hit Apple TV. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's jump right into it. If you're like me, you've probably watched this 20 or 30 times already. And all I want to do is just give you my reaction to it and maybe hit you with a little historical insight to where we're at it. So here we go. If you love World War II airplanes, this is going to whet your appetite. So right here we've got the Luftwaffe bombing England at night. This was something that was very consistent from the Germans after they lost the Battle of Britain in the summer of 1940. So that'll be an interesting element to see British and German civilians who suffered from the bombing attacks. So this is the 100th Bomb Group. They're based at Thorpe Abbotts in East Anglia, and they flew the B-17 Flying Fortress, which you see right here. And there they are, look at that. It was nicknamed the Flying Fortress because it carried over a dozen 50 caliber machine guns. I got a German anti-aircraft battery firing the vaunted 88mm cannon. That's the Flak 36. And it was a battlefield 5 to 6 miles up. Some nice looking damage on that B-17. That's pretty wild. You can find a lot of photos of that. So that's Luftwaffe Stalag 3, Luftstalag 3. Got some P-51 action. Sorry, kind of quiet. I'm still blown away. I've probably seen this, I don't know, 10 or 12 times today. And each time I watch it, I get a little something new every time. So let's go and dive into the book. This series is coming out in 2 months, January 26th. At the time of this recording, it's November 9th. That's about enough time to get through the whole book. Almost 700 pages. Masters of the Air, which was written by Donald Miller, who is a king among men, by the way, wrote a book about America's bomber boys who fought Nazi Germany. So it's about the entirety of the American involvement in the strategic bombing campaign against Nazi Germany. Now, there's a lot of interviews and personal accounts and memoirs in the book that are from pilots who flew in the 100th, and there's even a chapter that I believe is called The Bloody 100th, where he talks about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys. I can't remember exactly how many, but he talks quite a bit about the 100th in that chapter, and then throughout the rest of the book, you get these anecdotal pieces from some of the guys who flew in that unit. So we're going to be following the 100th Bomb Group for the entirety of the series, and they arrived in England in the summer of 1943 and fought all the way until the end of the war in Europe, which is May 8th, 1945. So let's go ahead and talk about a few guys who were in that unit that stood out in the book, and particularly stood out in that teaser. So Gale Cleven is played by Austin Butler. John Egan is played by Callum Turner. He had the pencil mustache, really spectacular flight jacket. Harry Crosby is played by Anthony Boyle, and Robert Rosenthal is played by Nate Mann. Let's go and talk about Cleven and Egan real quick. So they were the best of friends, and if they didn't come up through flight school together, they did join the 100th together during its inception and came over to England with them when they first arrived. So they were some of the first pilots who flew combat missions with the 100th. Those guys were looked up to as idols. They were excellent leaders. They kind of had like a movie star personality about each one of them. Egan was kind of a partier, which you see a little bit of there in the teaser, and then Clevin was more of a laid-back type guy, would spend his evenings in the barracks. Egan had a local pub that he loved to go down to and sing songs with some of the townspeople, and they basically would stay up all night until they had enough, or the bartender threw them out. Harry Crosby was a navigator with the 100th, and he flew as the lead navigator on several bombing missions during his tour with the 100th, and I can't remember if he did 1 or 2 tours, but he wrote an excellent book called A Wing and a Prayer, which talked about his time with the 100th Bomb Group. So if you're looking for a memoir about someone who served with the 100th during the war, that would definitely be one I would check out. Robert Rosenthal. So this is the name that stuck out to me the most when I first read the book. He flew 52 combat missions in the war, was shot down twice, evaded capture both times, and was a lawyer who then prosecuted Nazi war criminals at Nuremberg. Just an absolutely fascinating military career that he had. So Rosie Rosenthal is certainly a character that I'm looking forward to quite a bit. And again, I would highly recommend picking up the book to find out more about each one of these 4 guys. And they're kind of the big 4. There's a lot of characters that they talk about in the book from the 100th Bomb Group. And even if you just pull up the IMDb list for the series, there's a lot of people. But those are kind of the main 4 guys that Miller has the most gets the most information from. So let's talk about one other unit that we're going to see, and that is the 332nd Fighter Group, the Tuskegee Airmen. So they were a segregated unit of African American pilots and crews who flew out of North Africa and then Italy with the 15th Air Force. And I'm sure people are wondering, well, what's the connection? Because the 100th flew with the 8th Air Force out of England, and the 332nd flew with the 15th out of Italy. That's a good question. It appears to me that they're going to join wings at Luftstalag 3, which is a German POW camp for Allied airmen, the center point where those 2 units meet. So that's why we're seeing the red-tailed P-51s in that teaser. I think over on the Pursuit Picks podcast, when we get that fired up in January, we're going to start with a series of episodes on Masters of the Air, and that'll carry us basically into the springtime. But we'll talk about the book, the series, the pilots, the planes, you name it. Thank you to everybody for tuning into this episode of Pursuit Picks, where we react to the Masters of the Air official teaser, and hopefully we get an official trailer soon. But either way, January 26th is the date with Destiny, so can't wait to see it. So thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.